You are listening to Housekeepers Chat by the United States Department of Agriculture from 1927. Disclaimer: this is read from a historic archive document. Do not assume content reflects current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. This broadcast was aired 3rd of February, 1927.
The chat today contains sensible information for housekeepers who pride themselves on bright and shining kitchen utensils, bathroom fixtures, and so forth. The menu and the recipe are from the United States Bureau of Home Economics.
I have received a number of questions about housekeeping lately. So many questions, in fact, that it seems best to answer a few of them before the pile increases. As soon as the questions are answered, I shall broadcast a dinner menu, which I think is unusually good. The first question is about aluminum. Please tell me how aluminum should be cleaned, writes a Chicago housewife. You have no doubt discovered that aluminum does not tarnish easily in ordinary use, but one precaution should be observed in cleaning it. Alkalis discolor aluminum, therefore it should never be washed with strong soap or with strong washing powders. The dark color on aluminum pans and so forth may be rubbed off with whiting or with fine steel wool. If you use steel wool in scouring aluminum, use a grade OO, which is the finest grade sold. Discoloration on aluminum ware may also be dissolved by the acid of vinegar or by diluted oxalic acid. These acids must be thoroughly washed off the aluminum, and remember if you use oxalic acid that it is poison and must be kept out of the way of children. The next question is closely related to the first. Please tell me how to clean tin and enamel kitchen utensils. Ordinarily, tin utensils need only be washed in hot soapy water, rinsed in clear hot water, and dried thoroughly. However, if food sticks to the tin saucepan, which it does occasionally, the tin will need special attention. Don't scrape it. Scraping the tin exposes the iron or steel surface underneath, which may rust. If the food has dried in the utensil, fill it with a weak soda solution, heat for a few minutes, and then wash. You have probably noticed that tin grows dark with use. This tarnish protects the tin and should not be scoured off just for the sake of making the tin bright. Enameled ware and agate ware are made by putting an enamel or glaze over an iron or steel foundation. The durability of this ware depends on the quality of both the foundation and the enamel, and the care given it. If the foundation is not firm, the utensil will bend and the brittle enamel will crack and flake off. If you have an old enameled cooking spoon, you know what I mean. Enameled ware should be protected from acids, from sudden changes of temperature, and from unnecessary knocks and blows. An enameled ware kettle that has food stuck in it should not be scraped, but should be boiled with a little soda, washed in hot soapy water, and dried thoroughly. If the utensil cannot be cleaned this way, scour it with fine whiting or with rotten stone. Third question, is it safe to use scouring powders on bathroom fixtures? Bathroom fixtures, tubs and bowls, are hard to keep clean without the use of a scouring powder. However, nothing coarser than whiting should be used. Some of the commercial cleaning preparations used for enameled and porcelain fixtures contain scouring agents so gritty that they scratch the surface and make it harder and harder to keep clean. Bathroom fixtures should be cleaned daily. Tubs and bowls may be scrubbed with a fine scouring agent, like whiting or with water containing a little kerosene. After cleaning, rinse the surface with clear, hot water and wipe dry. The rust-colored stains made by water containing an excess of iron may be removed from porcelain or enamel-lined tubs and bowls with oxalic acid solution, which is a poison and must be entirely washed off. Perhaps I'd better tell you something more about oxalic acid, which, as I've said twice, is a poison. It is usually sold in the form of crystals. If you buy an ounce of oxalic acid, put it in a half-pint bottle of water. This amount of water will not dissolve all the crystals, but to be sure of having a strong solution, there should be some undissolved crystals. Pour the liquid solution off as you need it, and dilute it with water to any desired strength. Poisons, like oxalic acid, should always be labeled plainly and marked with a skull and crossbones. Next question. What is the best way to clean linoleum? Waxing or varnishing improves the appearance of linoleum and makes it last longer. Use wax on the inlaid and plain kinds and varnish on the printed ones, for wax sometimes tends to soften the printed surface. If either of these finishes is applied, the linoleum is then cleaned and cared for like a wood floor, so finished. If not given a special finish, linoleum should be swept with a soft brush and dusted with an oiled or dry mop. Occasionally it should be cleaned more thoroughly, with a cloth wrung out of suds made with lukewarm water and neutral soap. Rinse the linoleum with clear water and wipe dry with another cloth. Only a small space should be wet at a time. A linoleum-covered floor should never be flooded. Strong soaps and cleaning powders that contain alkali injure linoleum and should never be used on it. Whenever any kind of cleaning powder is used on a very dirty spot, care should be taken to remove any trace of the water in which the powder was dissolved. Last question. Is there a practical test for determining whether the air in a furnace-heated room is too dry? There is a rough practical test. Look at the inside of the windows on a cold day. If frost forms freely on the inside of the glass, there is no doubt but that the inside air has sufficient humidity. If there is no sign of frost inside the windows, the air is likely too dry to be healthful. There is a more accurate test described in a Farmer's Bulletin called Operating a Home Heating Plant. This bulletin, number 1194, discussed the selection, installation, and operation of a home heating plant. If you are burning more fuel than you should, or if your heating plant is not working satisfactorily, you might find helpful information in this bulletin. That's all the questions I'm answering today. The menu is planned especially for a listener in Council Bluffs, Iowa, who asked for a good meatloaf made of raw meat. I think my menu will please her. It is easy to prepare, tasty, inexpensive, and bound to be popular with the family. This is the menu: meatloaf, scalloped potatoes, buttered beets, grapefruit salad with toasted cheese crackers. Meatloaf or roll is one of the most economical meat dishes one can serve. Some of the cheaper cuts of meat may be used in making it, and every bit that is not eaten hot is useful for serving cold in slices or for sandwich filling. Any lean meat may be used if the gristle and skin are trimmed off. From 1/4 to 1/5 as much pork as beef is a good proportion. Too much pork makes a loaf that is too rich and greasy. When I make a meatloaf, I usually have the butcher cut off a fresh piece of meat and grind it while I look on. Many housewives prefer to take the meat home and grind it themselves. If the pork is not added to the beef, a small amount of fresh suet should be put through the chopper with the meat. A variety of seasonings may be used in meatloaf. Unless the family objects to the flavor, chopped or grated onion should be added to the meat. Thick cream sauce, brown gravy, or eggs will be needed as a binder. Fine dry breadcrumbs or cracker meal will also help hold the loaf together. The flavor is greatly improved by adding canned tomatoes to the meat mixture or serving them in a sauce over the loaf. At this point, I can almost hear someone say, "Isn't she going to give us a real recipe for meatloaf?" The answer is yes, and here's the recipe for meatloaf. 2 pounds ground beef, 1/2 pound ground pork, 1 onion grated, 1 cup thick cream sauce or gravy, or 2 eggs, 1 cup dry breadcrumbs, 1 to 2 cups canned tomato, salt, pepper, celery tops. Mix all these ingredients together thoroughly. Shape the mixture into a loaf. Place a strip or two of salt pork or small pieces of suet on the top and place it in a heavy baking pan. Cook in the oven for 30 to 45 minutes. Have the oven hot at first, but reduce the temperature toward the end. If the sauce or gravy is used as the binder for the loaf, make it with 3 tablespoons of flour and 2 tablespoons of butter or other fat to 1 cup of liquid. Our vegetables today are scalloped potatoes and buttered beets. The potatoes may be cooking in the oven right along with the meatloaf. The dessert is attractive and palatable: grapefruit salad and toasted cheese crackers. Butter the crackers lightly, sprinkle with grated cheese, seasoned with salt and paprika, and brown in the oven till the cheese melts. Serve at once with the salad. Let's check the menu. Meatloaf, scalloped potatoes, buttered beets, grapefruit salad, and toasted cheese crackers. Another menu for the cookbook. Also another recipe, for I'm going to add the meatloaf to the cookbook. I think there are enough books now to fill the demand. If you have not received a radio cookbook and would like to have one, please write to me at this station. The books are free. Another helpful addition to the kitchen bookshelf is Farmer's Bulletin number 1180, called House Cleaning Made Easier. I can recommend this bulletin almost as highly as the radio cookbook.
This broadcast was researched and produced by BreakAway Empire LLC.